Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Breakfast Bando, and we have a new Chaos Knight. The Knight Ruinator. Um, I'll start with the obvious. That name is kind of cringe. It's very kind of edgelordy and I guess, perfectly fitting for the Knight, well, for Chaos in general, but I don't know, it kind of just sounds a bit like, Trogdor the Burninator to me. So, talking about the model, it's a very interesting one. It's an expansion to the existing Chaos Knight model with a helmet that seems, or faceplate that seems to be sort of. People either love it or they hate it. And two new weapons and some nipple weapons that are slightly different. So, first of all, I really like the rocket launcher options here. That's kind of cool. The giant flame cannon, absolutely fine. And then the weird drill is a bit odd. Now, just to me, it's odd because of its design. It looks very frail. And traditionally, a drill like this would rotate upon itself anyway. And these sort of drive shafts look very frail. They look like this was jammed into something. It wouldn't just like grab on and then drill, because that's not going to go anywhere. You're going to get as much depth from just stabbing it in as you are from drilling anywhere. So the whole design of this, I get what they're going for. I just don't think it's been particularly well brought to life. Also, the kind of loincloth bit is tied to the legs. That's just gonna get in the way when he's walking. Like, that's just gonna rip. If you've ever tried to run in a skirt or a dress or something that's a bit too tight around the legs, and you realise how little movement you've got on your legs, and people are going to ask why I know what that's like. Well, that's what British schools are like, unfortunately. This is just a bit weird. I think this would have been better if it had just had a bit of a wider hip or something, and it was just hanging from there. All of the other bits I'm absolutely fine with. The face I'm okay with. I don't mind it. I think it's good for one, but I wouldn't want any more than one in my army. And the colour scheme is fine. Now, that being said, I thought I'd use this as the time to also carry on with another series where I've been going through the different factions and what I'd like to see about them, because Knights is definitely a faction, and what I'm going to say is basically going to cover both Loyalists and Chaos Knights. There is quite a selection of models in the Knights range. They don't even have the regular Chaos Knight in here anymore. I assume it's either out of stock or they're repackaging it because of the new release. Now, the problem is that most Chaos Knight armies nowadays, you just see a huge amount of Armiger class units. And to me, that's a problem. Knights is supposed to be your big knights. That's the idea. It's big stompy robots, not smaller stompy robots. As cool as they are. But I'll start with that as a concept. I think that something needs to be done to make it so that having the big knights is the important thing and what is going to make your army function well. They need to be your scoring units. They need to be what capture your objectives. They need to be your key linchpin to winning your games, not just spamming a dozen war dogs. Talking of war dogs, the war dogs do what I want more than the armigers do. Now you've got like the armiger Helverines that have 2 autocannons, and then you have the armiger warglaves, which just have the thermal lance and the close combat weapon. There is no reason this kit should not be a pick and choose unit. Like, all of these have so many different options, and the Chaos ones are great because a lot of them are in sort of different configurations. But the Loyalist ones are very heavily locked down, and I really think this just should be one chassis. You take what you want weapon-wise. There's no reason to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entries in your codex for what is effectively the same unit. It should just be War Dog may take up to 2 of each, may take 2 of any of these weapons, and then one back weapon, and it's just sort of like, okay, I'll take the close combat weapon and the Gatling cannon sort of thing, or I'll take one auto cannon and a thermal lance, and that's it, you know, and I'll put missile pod on the back of them. To me, that's how that should work, and like that's one data sheet with some options, which is far better than having 5 pages, 5 full sheets, 5 entries, 5 separate units that you've got to then encode into whatever app you're using. You've got to have every page on the website. You've got to take, 5 times as many photos. It's dumb to do it this way. You should have one entry. This is the War Dog, or this is the Armiger. These are the options you can take. Now, if you don't want to sell it with all of them, that's fine. That's fine. You just do what the Contemptor does and have like set 1 and set 2. And you split them between it. You do what the Leviathan does. Heresy does that much better than 40k seems to be capable of pulling off nowadays. But I get it. They're like, oh no, our customer base is clearly too stupid to understand this, so we must dumb it down as if they're babies. The next biggest issue, and that being said, exactly the same for knights as well. Knights need the exact same. So if I want to take this knight, I should be able to give him 2 close combat weapons, or 2 flame weapons, or 2 of these drills. I should be able to put the stubbers in here if I want, or missile launchers in there if I want. You know, they're such big kits, they should be customizable. You know, why can't I take a Knight Lancer, but instead of having a lance, he has the Vulcan Mega Bolter. You know, and then I can pose it in a way where he's brought his shield up and he's just shooting out along the side of it. Absolutely fine in my mind. It's not hard to balance the weapons for the chassis size or anything. And yeah, these can still be sold as this kit. I mean, you just sell the sprues separately. Again, not difficult. My last issue with the existing range is the actual knights themselves, and you see this quite badly. We'll have a look at the Imperium, and just have a quick look at the Imperial Knights. You see it quite badly here. Yeah, then you've got the regular knight, I guess, because they're redoing that one as well. None of these legs are posable. These legs are like singular poses most of the time. And it's just this. It's just one leg slightly forward, the other leg slightly forward. And that's basically all you can do for a lot of these classic knights. It's all you can do for the Armigers. And we know that things like the Contemptor are much easier to pose. They have full posability. Even the knight like Acheron, which I've built myself, I have one of these. You may have seen it already on the channel. Has considerably more posability in it, and should be kind of the standard going forward. You know, I don't want to buy a monopose model for £125. That's just so silly. It's just a statue at that point, and I don't want that. I want to be able to pose it. I want to be able to put it into an interesting environment. I want to have it standing there as if it's in the middle of combat. I want it down low like it's punching up, or maybe it's taking cover behind its shield as it's jabbing its lance forward, whatever. The Acheron pattern, this chassis, whatever you want to call it, considerably better because it does have the posability. But the Armigers, they don't have it, they need it. The classic knights, they don't have it, they need it. And I mean, the Chaos ones, they're slightly better. The reverse joint legs are slightly better than this, but not much. Not by much at all. And then, so things I'd add to the faction. I would make it so the knights are basically I don't play them. I don't have the codex. I don't know how they've actually written it, but in my head, the way I would like to do it is I would have the rank of the knight for your HQ choice. So like your paladin, or whatever you'd call him, your lord, your paladin, and I'd have a big one, a medium one, and a little one. So lord, commander, knight errant, and then those you purchase that for whatever point cost, and then he gets to purchase the chassis he's going to be in. So is he going to be in a Lancer class, a Cerastus, sorry, or is he going to be in, the Questoris, or is he going to be in the Tyrant, whatever. That's what he gets to pick. And then your HQ is always going to be the biggest one. And then you pick your knight, and you pick what level of knight you want. Do you want knight? Do you want a lower class knight errant sort of thing? So he's someone who's still young, still learning, still questing. Or do you want someone more advanced? Do you want a Grail knight or something like that? Where basically you're purchasing a more rules, better stat line from them, and then again you pick the chassis. So yes, I'm going to have a knight errant, and he's going to be in a standard knight, whatever they were called, because he's the cheapest option, and I'm going to have 2 of those. And that's how I would do it. You pick the level of quality of the driver, and then the chassis they're going to be in, and then you can pick whatever weapons they want. I'd also add a kind of chaff infantry unit, the actual kind of what are they called, house infantry, they're the armsmen, something that can be used to tie up infantry units, that can protect them from being charged by dangerous units, like elite units, which could possibly harbour something that might do enough damage to them, and also frees up the knights to actually go chasing down the objectives on the battlefield. Other than that, I think you don't want to add things like vehicles in. You want every role on the battlefield should be done by a knight. So if we need an anti-aircraft role, that needs to be done by a knight. If there needs to be a long-range bombardment, it needs to be done by a knight. Basically, I want as many of these on the field as possible, some of these on the field as possible, and that's it. I don't want 12 of these. I need at least sort of 3 of these in the army, basically. That's how I'd like to see it. I'd like to see, big stompy robots with little smaller stompy robots running around them. That's fine. But I just think that the kits need to be more posable, and they need more options. They need to, I get it that 40k has moved towards that esports tournament scene, and that is detrimental in my opinion. I think that's where creativity goes to die. But I think that, there is no reason that I shouldn't be able to take this knight with 2 of these plasma cannons sort of thing. Other than possibly, the fact that it might get hot and blow up. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you think. I mean, I'm quite inexperienced when it comes to knights. I've built 1 armiger and 1 knight. That's my experience with the kits. Other than that, it's just what I've been reading about the faction, just what people have told me who play them, and just how I want things to be. I want the ability to customize my force as much as possible. So let me know. Let's have a conversation down in the comments. Let's have a chat. Tell me how wrong I am. And I'm going to keep burping because I've just been necking sparkling water. Have a great day, guys. It's another week. We're going to get our way through this one. Unfortunately, I have my mum's funeral this Friday, so I'm probably going to be pretty distracted this week. So thanks very much for your understanding. I know you guys have been great so far. So let's keep it up. Keep your chins up, guys. If you guys have any questions, you know where to answer them. Have a great day. Bye-bye.